Albert Einstein. Biographical. Albert Einstein was born at Ulm, in Württemberg, Germany, on March 14, 1879. 6 weeks later the family moved to Munich, where he later on began his schooling at the Luitpold Gymnasium. Later, they moved to Italy and Albert continued his education at Aarau, Switzerland, and in 1896 he entered the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich to be trained as a teacher in physics and mathematics. In 1901, the year he gained his diploma, he acquired Swiss citizenship and, as he was unable to find a teaching post, he accepted a position as technical assistant in the Swiss Patent Office. In 1905 he obtained his doctor's degree. During his stay at the Patent Office, and in his spare time, he produced much of his remarkable work, and in 1908 he was appointed private docent in Bern. In 1909 he became professor extraordinary at Zurich. In 1911 professor of theoretical physics at Prague, returning to Zurich in the following year to fill a similar post. In 1914 he was appointed director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Physical Institute and professor in the University of Berlin. He became a German citizen in 1914 and remained in Berlin until 1933, when he renounced his citizenship for political reasons and emigrated to America to take the position of professor of theoretical physics at Princeton. He became a United States citizen in 1940 and retired from his post in 1945. After World War II, Einstein was a leading figure in the world government movement. He was offered the presidency of the State of Israel, which he declined, and he collaborated with Dr. Chaim Weizmann in establishing the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Einstein always appeared to have a clear view of the problems of physics and the determination to solve them. He had a strategy of his own and was able to visualize the main stages on the way to his goal. He regarded his major achievements as mere stepping stones for the next advance. At the start of his scientific work, Einstein realized the inadequacies of Newtonian mechanics, and his special theory of relativity stemmed from an attempt to reconcile the laws of mechanics with the laws of the electromagnetic field. He dealt with classical problems of statistical mechanics and problems in which they were merged with quantum theory. This led to an explanation of the Brownian movement of molecules. He investigated the thermal properties of light with a low radiation density, and his observations laid the foundation of the photon theory of light. In his early days in Berlin, Einstein postulated that the correct interpretation of the special theory of relativity must also furnish a theory of gravitation, and in 1916 he published his paper on the general theory of relativity. During this time he also contributed to the problems of the theory of radiation and statistical mechanics. In the 1920s, Einstein embarked on the construction of unified field theories, although he continued to work on the probabilistic interpretation of quantum theory, and he persevered with this work in America. He contributed to statistical mechanics by his development of the quantum theory of a monatomic gas, and he has also accomplished valuable work in connection with atomic transition probabilities and relativistic cosmology. After his retirement he continued to work towards the unification of the basic concepts of physics, taking the opposite approach, geometrization, to the majority of physicists. Einstein's researches are, of course, well chronicled, and his more important works include Special Theory of Relativity, 1905, Relativity, English translations, 1920 and 1950, General Theory of Relativity, 1916, Investigations on Theory of Brownian Movement, 1926, and The Evolution of Physics, 1938. Among his non-scientific works: About Zionism, 1930, Why War? 1933, My Philosophy, 1934, and Out of My Later Years, 1950, are perhaps the most important. Albert Einstein received honorary doctorate degrees in science, medicine and philosophy from many European and American universities. During the 1920s he lectured in Europe, America and the Far East, and he was awarded fellowships or memberships of all the leading scientific academies throughout the world. He gained numerous awards in recognition of his work, including the Copley Medal of the Royal Society of London in 1925, and the Franklin Medal of the Franklin Institute in 1935. Einstein's gifts inevitably resulted in his dwelling much in intellectual solitude, and, for relaxation, music played an important part in his life. He married Mileva Marias in 1903 and they had a daughter and 2 sons. Their marriage was dissolved in 1919, and in the same year he married his cousin, Elsa Lowenthal, who died in 1936. He died on April 18, 1955 at Princeton, New Jersey. From Nobel Lectures, Physics 1901-1921, Elsevier Publishing Company, Amsterdam, 1967. This biography was written at the time of the award and first published in the book series Les Prix Nobel. It was later edited and republished in Nobel Lectures. To cite this document, always state the source as shown above. Albert Einstein was formerly associated with the Institute for Advanced Study located in Princeton, New Jersey. Nobel Prizes and Laureates. Nobel Prizes 2023. 11 laureates were awarded a Nobel Prize in 2023 for achievements that have conferred the greatest benefit to humankind. Their work and discoveries range from effective mRNA vaccines and attosecond physics to fighting against the oppression of women. Albert Einstein. Facts. Albert Einstein. The Nobel Prize in Physics 1921. Born the 14th of March 1879, Ulm, Germany. Died the 18th of April 1955, Princeton, NJ, USA. Affiliation at the time of the award. Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, now Max Planck Institute, für Physik, Berlin, Germany. Prize motivation, for his services to theoretical physics, and especially for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. Albert Einstein received his Nobel Prize 1 year later, in 1922. Life. Albert Einstein grew up in Munich, where his father founded an electrical engineering company. After studying at the ETH University in Zurich, Einstein worked at the patent office in Bern, during which time he produced several pioneering works in the field of physics. He was later employed at universities in Bern, Zurich, and Prague, and from 1914, in Berlin. After the Nazis seized power in Germany, Einstein immigrated to the US, where he worked at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. Einstein married twice and had 3 children by his first marriage. His father was Hermann Einstein, and his mother was Pauline Khoj. His father was a featherbed salesman, and later he ran an electrochemical factory with moderate success. Albert Einstein had one sister, named Maria. His family moved to Munich, where he started his schooling at the Luitpold Gymnasium. Later, his parents moved to Italy, where he continued his education at Aarau, Switzerland. He went to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich in 1896. There, he was trained as a teacher in physics and mathematics. In 1901, Albert gained his diploma and acquired Swiss citizenship. At that time, he didn't get the teaching post, but he took a position as a technical assistant in the Swiss Patent Office. He gained his doctor's degree in 1905. Albert Einstein would write that in his early years, 2 wonders deeply affected him. The first was his encounter with the compass. At that time, he was 5 years old. He was puzzled that invisible forces could deflect the needle. And the second one was when he discovered a book of geometry at the age of 12 and called it his sacred little geometry book. In the Swiss Patent Office, when he got spare time, he produced much of his remarkable work. He was appointed private docent in Bern in 1908. He became professor extraordinary at Zurich in 1909 and professor of theoretical physics at Prague in 1911. In the following year, he returned to Zurich to fill a similar post. He was also appointed director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Physical Institute in 1914 and professor at the University of Berlin. In 1914, he became a citizen of Germany and remained in Berlin until 1933. In 1940, he became a United States citizen and retired from his post in 1945. Albert Einstein married Mileva Marias in 1903. The couple had a daughter and 2 sons. In 1919, they divorced. In the same year, Albert married his cousin, Else Lowenthal, who died in 1936. Work. If metal electrodes are exposed to light, electrical sparks between them occur more readily. For this photoelectric effect to occur, the light waves must be above a certain frequency, however. According to physics theory, the light's intensity should be critical. In one of several epoch-making studies beginning in 1905, Albert Einstein explained that light consists of quanta, packets with fixed energies corresponding to certain frequencies. One such light quantum, a photon, must have a certain minimum frequency before it can liberate an electron. Albert Einstein, scientific career and inventions. Albert Einstein was a leading figure in the world government movement after World War II. He was also offered the presidency of the State of Israel, but he declined it, and he collaborated with Dr. Chaim Weizmann in developing the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He was always interested in solving the problems of physics and also had a clear view and determination to solve them. He made his strategy his own and was able to visualize the main stages on the way to his goal. In fact, he saw his critical achievements as merely one more step toward the next level of advancement. When his scientific work started, Albert Einstein realized the inadequacies of Newtonian mechanics, and his special theory of relativity emanated from an attempt to reconcile the laws of mechanics with the laws of the electromagnetic field. He worked on classical problems of statistical mechanics and problems in which they were merged with quantum theory. This paved the way for an explanation of the Brownian movement of molecules. He explored the properties of light with a low radiation density, and his observations and survey laid the foundation of the photon theory of light. He postulated the correct interpretation of the special theory of relativity in the early days of Berlin and also furnished a theory of gravitation. He published his paper on the general theory of relativity in 1916. At this point in time, he also contributed to the problems of the theory of radiation and statistical mechanics. He embarked on the construction of unified field theories in the 1920s, and he was also working on the probabilistic interpretation of quantum theory. He preserved this work in America. By developing a quantum theory of monoatomic gas, he contributed to statistical mechanics. He also did valuable work in connection with atomic transition probabilities and relativistic cosmology. After taking retirement, he continued to work towards the unification of the basic concepts of physics. He took the opposite approach to geometrization as the majority of physicists. He received honorary doctorate degrees in science, medicine, and philosophy from several European and American universities. Albert Einstein, Awards and Honors. Barnard Medal, 1920. Nobel Prize in Physics, 1921. Matteucci Medal, 1921. Formems, 1921. Copley Medal, 1925. Gold Medal, 1926. Max Planck Medal, 1929. Benjamin Franklin Medal, 1935. Member of the National Academy of Sciences, 1942. Time Person of the Century, 1999. Albert Einstein, Legacy. The work of Einstein continues to win Nobel Prizes for successful physicists. A Nobel Prize was awarded for the discovery of Bose-Einstein condensates in 1995. Black holes are now known to number in the thousands. Also, new generations of space satellites have continued to verify the cosmology of Einstein. Let's scroll through some tweets to witness his legacy.